Combat. My name is Gardy. I have a guest that's zooming in from Atlanta. I'm going to let them introduce themselves and we're going to have some fun. Hey, how you doing?
Hey, how's it going? My name's Alex Enriquez. From Atlanta, Atlanta, Georgia. Coming from Atlanta, Atos, Atlanta, with Bruno Frazado.
All right. So if someone hasn't had the chance to meet you, give them a little bit about your background, what your base is, how did you find jiu-jitsu?
Yeah, I'm a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. I just received it recently in December from Bruno Frazado and Nathan Hadley over at Atos Atlanta. I started Jiu-Jitsu when I was 11 years old. I'm about to turn 23, so around 11 to 12 years. I did Jiu-Jitsu first, and then when I got to high school, I began wrestling. I did all 4 years of high school wrestling and folk style and did a little bit of freestyle just for 1 year, my freshman year. And then by the time I got to college, uh, I did my first year of college just focused on jiu-jitsu. And then my second year of college, I transferred over to Life University where I trained, where I did wrestling under Ashley and Christian Flavin. And I did about 2 or 3 seasons of freestyle wrestling, and then now I'm back in jiu-jitsu.
Why did you start jiu-jitsu in the first place at such a good age?
Yeah, well, when my family immigrated to the States when I was around 5, my older brother was always interested in fighting. He wanted his goal was when he came here was to fight. And my summer of 6th grade, my parents were just trying to get me to do some after school activity and stuff. So my brother introduced me to jujitsu eventually, and ever since the first day, I absolutely loved it. And I don't think I ever stopped doing jujitsu and or wrestling like full time since 11. Other than surgeries or injuries, I think I was training around 5 to 6, 7 days a week since I was 11. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Where did y'all come from? Where did you migrate from?
Manila, Philippines. Yeah. So
What was that transition like? Did you enjoy it? Was it fun, or did you not like it at first, or how was it?
I think since I was so young, like 5 years old, I think when I came here, I was just about to start first grade. So I think I didn't really think much of it. I guess it was just like, moving with the family. And I mean, it was fun. I remember the plane trip being excruciatingly long for a 5 year old that didn't have a lot of patience about it. But when we got here, I realized everything like the food was large portions extremely large portions. So uh yeah, like the food was, I was just getting used to that. But other than that, that's all I could really remember with the moving over here. We moved in with my my dad's family at first, while before we were finding a house. So we kind of just all my whole family, my immediate family, we all just kind of crammed into one room inside of my uncle's like townhouse. And then eventually we ended up getting a year later, ended up getting the house like right next door to them.
Mm-hmm. Did your older brother end up fighting or pursuing martial arts?
So yes, he first actually started at Lifetime Fitness, and they had like a boxing program. And from like Lifetime, he's like, I'm gonna go take an MMA fight in Florida. And so yeah, like from like kind of zero experience, but to like that. And then he went to Florida. He actually ended up, while he was in Florida, meeting CJ Wilson, who is the owner of Knuckle Up Fitness now until today. And Knuckle Up Fitness was back in Georgia too, but they met in Florida. Got into contact with him, and then ended up being like a personal trainer and kickboxing instructor over at Knuckle Up. And then eventually, I ended up there where I started jujitsu um, a couple years later under Steve Mitchell. Yeah.
For you, making that transition from jiu-jitsu, having a solid base in combat sports, and wrestling in high school, and then eventually wrestling in college, was there ever any thoughts, or do you still have maybe you're figuring out like to go into MMA?
Yeah, actually, I think right now my plan is to just do really well at the exceed at the black belt level at the like highest levels in jiu-jitsu, make a name for myself, and then eventually in the future possibly make that transition into MMA, kind of like how like Mackenzie Dern, Buchecha, all like the big names. When they transition into MMA, so they could get into like the least amount of like amateur fights, so that I'm not taking as much damage to my body and then going straight into pro. I did one amateur MMA fight maybe a year ago or 2 years ago in Ohio, and I had so much fun with it. But I could definitely feel that. Like as soon as I got like I didn't even get hit in the face. I like she threw a jab and I slipped it and it grazed me, and then I was immediately like, I gotta take you down. Like I gotta get to
Yeah.
the ground.
Yeah.
Yeah. But other than that, I had so much fun. Ohio rules was basically pro rules because in Georgia you're not allowed to strike on the ground in amateur. In Ohio, we had 3 ounce gloves. There was full like striking on the ground. The only rule that wasn't allowed on the feet was kicks to the head. So
Yeah.
it was close to.
Yeah, you really got to know the rule sets for all these different things. And speaking of rule sets, I saw that you competed at the ADCC East Coast Trials. How'd that go?
Yes, I had a lot of fun. It was actually I didn't get to have like a full blown camp for it as much as I wanted to. We had just focused on Nogi Worlds for like 2 months, 2 or 3 months prior, because our main goal was Nogi World Champion. That was my first time competing at Nogi Worlds, so I wanted to make a statement and win. And then right after Nogi Worlds, I had a trip to Brazil for a week at the Caio Terra vacation camp. So we were still training jiu-jitsu, but it was like gi no gi
Hmm.
and kind of like exploring touristy stuff. So still had a lot of fun. And then the right after that was ADCC. So I had signed up for East Coast Trials way back when, and there was no way I was gonna back out. So regardless of like whether I had a specific training camp for it, I was still training all the time. So I was just like, let's do it. It doesn't matter, you know. And it ended up not too shabby. Ended up making getting to the finals. So I was happy about that result. Not, of course, not as happy as first, but still.
Yeah, I mean, were you surprised? Did anything surprise you about the experience or the rules or even that you made it to the finals? Anything?
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. That was my first time ever doing ADCC rule set and competing in ADCC trials. So I've always wanted to do ADCC. I don't know why I didn't do it earlier. It just never came up. And now that it's been like my main focus, now I'm all about the ADCC and the rule sets. We've been studying it since January. Has basically been an ongoing camp since January for West Coast trials. So I'm full on into ADCC.
Yes. So
uh,
Submissions on the Shore is taking place Saturday, March 19th at the Booker T World Gym Arena in Texas City, and this event is going to be ADCC rule set. How excited are you, and are you more prepared for this in that rule set?
yes, I'm very excited. This is exactly why I ended up signing up, registering for the tournament, was because that it was ADCC rule set, and not a lot of tournaments in jiu-jitsu do ADCC rule set. One, because it's hard to find referees that are so well knowledgeable of the rules, just because of how different and how hard it is to score and all the little minutia of the rules. So I'm really glad that Subs on the Shore and Albert Tapia was able to make this happen, so that this is a great warm up for the ladies right before West Coast trials. So I feel like everyone should do this, you know.
I believe that you've competed for Submissions on the Shore before. Do you like competing for this promotion? What has it been like?
Yes, amazing. Albert Tapia and Subs on the Shore. Even their inaugural one was on like believe I forget what the name of the boat
It's
was,
like a
but it was
ship.
a
Yeah.
yeah, it was a huge event and it was awesome. They had big names on that card, and it was their very first event, so it was amazing and very surprising how big they made their first event, especially being an all-female card. That's so great to have for female competitors, showcasing that. And Albert Tapia used to be, I believe, one of the coaches or maybe assistant coaches over at Menlo College in California. And that was a really big wrestling, female college female wrestling school that was really well known. They've won many of the national titles and stuff. So it was really cool to have that he was a part of that. And so now you see it even at his tournaments, he's incorporating freestyle women's wrestling matches, which is, brand new. I feel like he's staying ahead of everything. The tournament I went to last time was very well ran, very professional, and it was, I couldn't complain about anything really.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up. I know that he coached at a school, I think it was in El Paso, Wayland Baptist here, ended up in California. And I talked to Madison Gwynn a couple days ago, and she's going to be competing in that freestyle wrestling match. She was committed to go to Wayland Baptist. Some things happened.
Yes. Yeah.
But do you think, I mean, you haven't been that far removed from wrestling in college. Are you missing it at all? And do you think you will?
Yes, I miss it so much that I am back at it actually.
Oh, yeah?
My coaches, Bruno had me as a part of my ADCC camp to include wrestling at least twice a week into my schedule. And so I talked with my coaches, Ashley and Christian, and they were amazing enough. They always work with their alumni and stuff. And so I'm practicing with the girls over there twice a week, and it's been amazing. It's always so humbling, and because they're always hammers. This season, Life University actually just beat reigning champs Campbellsville University for the national duels title, and for NAIA. So I was really happy for them. It's amazing. And some of the girls that I wrestled with in college are still on that team. So it was just like, I was so happy for them. And they're getting ready actually for their Mid-South Conference as well as NAIA individual nationals coming up. So it's getting down to the nitty gritty. Practices are getting really specific, and it's just exciting to see the girls, the existing and the newcomers, go through the kind of same process and feelings that I went through when I was in season. And it's, happy for them, very happy for them.
Awesome. Okay, so you mentioned competing at Nogi Worlds before the ADCC East Coast Trials, but I don't know if we talked about the results from that. What was that experience like? Had you competed at Nogi Worlds before?
Yeah, so I always wanted to compete in Nogi Worlds. The only thing was stopping me was that it was always in wrestling season in the past. So this was the first time graduated school, and I was able to do it. And I was competing in brown belt featherweight division. I ended up having 3 matches. The first 2 matches I was able to get the sub. The last match I was actually competing against Amanda Bruce from Atos HQ. So I've trained with her like a few times before. She's really an amazing person, amazing competitor when we've gone to HQ, and she was ahead on me on the score in the beginning, and I was able to turn it around in the last 3 minutes and end up getting to the back and then subbing and finishing. But it was a really close match because I was being behind on points with less than half the match left. It definitely does play some mind tricks on me, but I just had to keep fighting till the very end, and then it turned out in my favor. So I was able to get all my matches, all sub finishes for that Nogi World title. So I was very happy with that. Very satisfied.
I mean, going into that, were you pretty confident that that was going to be the outcome?
Always, no matter who steps in front of me on the mats, I always believe in myself, and I believe in my training. I believe in my hard work, and it doesn't matter if there's like an Olympic champion standing or across the ring for me, even if I'm not as qualified. But I know I will like die with my wounds to the front. You know, I'll give it my all, and even if I'm losing, it doesn't matter what the score is until like the match is over. And then the match is over. That's so I always think in my head. I try not to waver from that. Like the whole time, I'm gonna win. I'm gonna win.
Was it an edge for you having competed against that opponent before, having trained with them, or were you feeling at least confident having had some experience with them?
Um, in a way, sometimes yes, but not with Amanda Bruce because she's a very tricky and tough grappler, you know. And I think every match is always a new match, no matter who you face. Whether you've beaten them like thousands of times before, that might have been the day that they beat you, and I did not want to let that happen, especially when it matters, you know, when the world title is on the line. So I never underestimate any opponent, no matter who it is, no matter what belt they are, and how many times I've gone against them or beaten them or lost to them. Uh, the same, it's like a reset. Every match is a new match for me, so I try to stay clear minded, and just focus on the goal. You know.
Can you remind me when was it that you received your Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt, and what was that experience like?
Um, it was right after Gi World, so in December of this past year, probably late December. I was actually told by Bruno was that if I had won, the plan was if I won Gi Worlds, I would have gotten it on the podium, but it did. I didn't make it happen. I ended up getting caught in the semis, and so it sucked, but I was able to come back, and it was the most amazing. I feel like it was more memorable than if I had won Ye Worlds and gotten it on the podium, because my old coach, my original coach, Steve Mitchell, who had promoted me from the kids system all the way to brown belt,
Wow.
was able to be there and got to be a part of the ceremony. And Bruno even uh, asked him to come up, and even asked him to tie the black belt around my waist one more time. So it was just like I was speechless, and of course there was so many tears, and yeah, but it was amazing. It was amazing.
It looks like you stay pretty busy just watching and following you on social media. I think you even
Mhm.
have a title defense coming up February 26th.
Yeah,
Besides submissions on the shore, what else do you have scheduled already?
yeah. So yes, February 26th, I have Zapatero with Josh LeDuc. I have a title defense against Nkaya Jackson. Very tough competitor. I've never competed against her before. We were in the same bracket for the original Zapatero 125 bracket tournament, and she made it to the semis. Ended up losing against Alana Holly, who I faced in the finals just via overtime. So, or because it was EBI rules, so they went all the way to overtime, and she just had barely lost by escape time. So I'm very excited for this matchup. And then March 19th, we have subs on the shore. Then we have West Coast trials in April, first week of April. Um, I know I've already been contacted for some tournaments or at the end of April, but I haven't confirmed anything just yet. So just focusing on now until West Coast trials.
Okay, wrestling in high school, being a college athlete, it takes a lot of time and energy, and there's a lot of travel, I assume. What did you study in school?
I originally I when I my first year of college I went to KSU, or Kennesaw State, and I was a bio major. And when I transferred over to life, I had done 1 quarter of biology, and realized that their exercise program over there was they were really hands on and very adamant about their exercise science program. So I ended up switching over to that, which was I really loved it. I think it really helped me with jujitsu, and being able to teach classes, personal training, knowing more about my own body as an athlete and nutrition and all that. So I was actually glad I was able to do that. I think I've been able to use what I've been learning in school and what I love to do every day.
Yeah, that seems like it would be a huge advantage, and I'm sure like teammates and friends probably ask you for advice as well.
Yeah, yeah, it works out, and especially having gone through wrestling, and I've had like two major surgeries. One in freshman year of high school or sophomore year of high school, and then the most recent one was my sophomore year of college on my knee. So I had my shoulder and my knee done, and I feel like all those major injuries and bad weight cuts in high school have definitely helped me become a better, more mature, and prepared athlete um, for the long run. So I'm glad I was able to experience all those setbacks a little bit earlier. So that even though I'm still young now, I feel like I'm ahead of the curve in terms of I'm training smarter. I'm uh, mentally really tough and matured in terms of like in competition. So
Whenever you first started and you were young, did you start competing? Even whenever you first were beginning.
yeah, actually, I think I did my first competition after a month of doing jujitsu at a Naga or so,
Yeah,
and
how did that go?
yeah, yeah, because like Steve was just like, okay, there's a competition coming up. Everyone does this, and I
Right.
was like, okay, I've never competed really, and I did a lot of sports back when I was younger, but that was just to get in shape. I never really competed, and then so now, like after 1 month of jujitsu, we're like, okay, let's do it, and I was really happy. I just like jujitsu just clicked for me in the beginning. It just made sense. So, and also as an 11-year-old, it also helped that I was like the same size as I am now, but like 100 pounds. So I was like probably like 5'5", 5'6", 11 years old and 100 pounds. So everyone I was going against was like a foot shorter than me. And my signature, like all I did in my first tournament was like bear hug, like double unders, bear hug them either straight to mount or side mount, and then Americana them. I think it was for like the first three matches because I was just so much taller than everyone. And then it was really awesome. Like I was able to do a lot of Americanas. I got a triangle and a cross collar choke. And I feel like till this day, your first tournament, all you need is like two or three simple submissions. And I was just in just that like go 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 attitude, like you want it more. So
Do you remember having nerves or being nervous about the experience at all?
honestly, because I was so young, I feel like I didn't really process it the way like a normal adult would process it. It was just like, okay, we're here, like this is
Yeah.
what everyone does, and then like it was my turn to compete, so I was like, yeah, let's do it. And my mom, honestly, is like I feel like everything that I've acquired comes from her. She was always like a fighter growing up. She did like taekwondo and stuff, but my mom, if for those that know my mom, especially I feel like all of the Georgia Brazilian Jiu Jitsu community knows my mom. She was like a tough lady. Like she would be the one yelling in the corner, yelling at 11-year-olds, like, break her arm, kill her. Yeah, like if she was not like, she did not have any like chill whatsoever. It was hilarious, but it was just like, uh, I was very quiet as a kid and very unassuming. And then all of a sudden you see my like 5 foot or 4'11" size Filipino mom just yelling in the corner at them. And so I feel like everyone growing up in Georgia, everyone knew me and my mom because my mom was always like cheering and just like very aggressive. And so like when I had an issue with being aggressive, like my mom was like, you need to be more aggressive and all this. And I was like, okay, I gotta listen to her or else she's gonna beat me up later or something. And so I was like, okay, gotta listen to what mom says.
How important was that support to you?
I feel like it was everything. Even till this day, she's like been my number one fan of jujitsu. I think she loved that I ended up choosing fighting. When I was younger in the Philippines, I just remember watching like WWE and like Raw, SmackDown all the time, and so she always like she saw like the beginning like first UFCs and stuff, and so she always thought it was really cool, but she never would have imagined that her own daughter would have been doing that later on. But I think it made her really happy because she uh she's always down for a fight. I don't think she ever backs down for fighting. I think she used to have the shortest temper and would just go off on people. My dad was the one that was very patient and just avoid fights. I like to like I'm pretty much like a pacifist when it comes to like on in the streets,
Yeah.
but my mom would just jump at people without even thinking about it.
You mentioned watching wrestling, like professional wrestling. Are you a fan or familiar with Booker T?
Booker T,
Yeah.
yeah, yes,
So
yes.
how cool is
Uh,
it that you get to wrestle? So he has a wrestling promotion here in Texas City called Reality of Wrestling, and that's
uh,
where they have it. And he's there like all the time. He's probably there right now. It's pretty cool.
yeah, I'm super excited. Yeah, that the fact that they always have it in super cool locations. So I know I always know that Subs in the Shore is always going to be a great event. But even better that it's like kind of drawing something from my childhood and stuff. So
Yeah.
it's I mean really cool. I can't wait to see the venue.
Okay, so starting at a young age, being about 11, naturally, I would assume there would be points where you questioned or dreamed, what do I want to do when I get older? Was there ever a point where you thought about quitting the sport or combat sports?
Yeah, so when I was about a year in, Steve and my other assistant coach at the time, Brian Brown, we would all go they would take me to the movies all the time and we'd hang out all the time. And so he had this like he said he like I'm gonna have like an adult conversation with you one day when we were driving to the movies. And so and I never like understood it then, but then I understand it now later on. But he was like, what there's gonna be different things that in your life that obstacles or different options and paths that you
Mhm.
might have that are going to be available to you as you grow up. And then he's like, just whatever you choose, I support you. And even though like I'm no longer with Knuckle Up Fitness, even they're still like family to me. And Steve has always been super supportive, so it's been amazing to see that. And so I think it was about in like either Brown or like very recently did I finally decide that like I want to give the whole professional jiu-jitsu career like jiu-jitsu life like 100%. Like I always thought like I was going to college. I just did it as a hobby, but I mean I guess an extreme hobby because I did it like every day without like it was just like I could go hang out with my friends or I could go to jiu-jitsu and I was like no I have to. Like in my head I was
Yeah.
just like I can't miss practice because then I always thought oh sorry
It's okay.
yeah
What kind of good
yeah.
you can always answer? Okay, so if you're just now taking the time to join us, this is Clear Life Combat. My name is Gardy, and I'm talking to Alex Enriquez. If you want to follow her on social media, you can do that. It's A Enriquez 218, and you can find out more about everything that she has going on. And I'm excited. So hey,
Like,
you back? What kind of dog?
yeah,
What kind of
sorry.
dog do you have?
Yeah, so sorry. Chico, stop. Sorry.
What kind
No,
of dog is Chico?
Chico is a miniature pincher chihuahua. And he was just barking because someone was like, it's okay, it's okay. Yeah, so, yeah, he's the guard dog and someone just rang the doorbell. So, but
Oh
it's
no,
all good.
yeah, he's just doing his job. Chico's just doing what he's supposed to be doing, right?
Right? He's just like a stranger danger. Yeah,
Yeah. Okay, so
yeah.
I got a couple more questions and things that I'm
Yeah.
wondering. So if you weren't, maybe you wouldn't have pursued combat sports right now or Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. What do you think you'd be doing?
I think I would. I actually, when I switched over to Life University, I was thinking about being a chiropractor, and I actually got involved in that. Being a sorry,
It's okay.
Chico, come here. I was thinking about being a chiropractor. That's why I ended up going to the school. I got involved with. I met a chiropractor when I was in my early teens, and when I got injured through, had my first like shoulder surgery, and I was able to do a lot of rehab. He did my rehab for me, and I ended up actually interning for him in high school, my senior year, and so that's how I got a really involved in chiropractics and all those like alternative therapies and modalities, and I've just been really enjoying learning about the body and learning how to break and fix the body at the same time, all the different ways. Yeah,
Yeah, I would say that gives you an edge. You know how it works, you know how it breaks, and going into um,
exactly.
to a tournament or a super fight, hey, you got it, right? Okay, so is there anything else that you would like to share? If someone wants to follow you or keep up to date, how can they do that?
Yeah. So my Instagram is a Enriquez 218. I also have my website that I just recently came out with for Atlanta Jiu Jitsu. Atlanta Jiu Jitsu is my personal Jiu Jitsu brand as an athlete, for private seminars, personal trainings. The website is on my Instagram, as well as you could search it up online at atlantajujitsu.squarespace.com. So
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to hang out. I'm excited. Just a reminder, Submissions on the Shore is going to be taking place at the Booker T World Gym Arena. That's Saturday, March 19th in Texas City. It's going to be streamed worldwide on Fight TV. You can also attend and hang out and maybe cheer and meet Alex. So thank you again.
thank you so much.
This is Clear Life Combat